Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at the Dead Space remake. Yes, I realise I'm a little bit late to this, primarily because what I read about it basically made it out to be the same game as the original but with newer technology and a few bits here and there. And I was like, 50 quid is a bit much, or 60 quid, or however much it was, for the same game that I've already played, having just completed Dead Space 1 in last year, I think late last year. That was actually the first time I completed it, despite having owned it since it launched on PS3. I got to the part where you plant the beacon on the asteroid and just got horribly stuck there, so I gave up. But I did soldier through it and beat it last year, and I was like, do I really want to pay like 50 quid for the same game again, even if it looks nicer? And then Steam sale happened and I picked up £35, which was far more palatable, so that's why you're now getting a review of it. But for the most part, my initial impressions that kept me away from buying it were pretty accurate. It isn't like the Resident Evil remakes where they changed it around. It's basically the whole game is there with a few added bits and a few tweaks to the way it works. So, I mean, I played the first 5 minutes originally and I was like, this is exactly what I remember. It just looks nicer. There are a few more changes than that. Obviously, the controls are a little bit tighter. They've taken out the locked doors that you have to spend power nodes on. They've taken out the empty spaces in your upgrades that you have to spend power nodes on. So when you get a power node, you can actually use it for something useful. They've replaced the power node doors with security clearance, which is probably the biggest change, is that they've made the Ishimura basically an open world kind of deal, where you have to backtrace to open those doors as you gain security clearance as you move along. Storyline wise, they've changed a little bit here and there. Probably the biggest change is Isaac is now voiced and you see his face. It's not surprising, considering he's been a voiced face man since the second game, and it was only really the first one in which he was a mute silent protagonist who you didn't see the face of. Well, I think you might have seen it a little bit of it at the end, if I remember correctly. So now, yeah, he's voiced by the same guy that did him in Dead Space 2 and 3, so he's a guy down with the character, and his performance is fine. He's not like Nathan Drake and he's making quips here and there. He's very much sort of more straight to the point, which is better. Considering the situation he's in, you really wouldn't be joking around if horrible, fleshy, spiky monsters were after you. In terms of the spiky monsters, the Rogues Gallery is pretty much the same. They've been upgraded. They have introduced a new damage system where basically they have multiple layers of flesh for you to remove with your various power tools and such. So it is quite satisfying, the combat, because of the damage that you're doing to them. And some of the late game weapons really makes a complete just desecration of their body, if it wasn't already desecrated by alien forces. But yes. So I remember playing the first one and kind of liking it until I got stuck. It was actually back before I got my first HD TV, and it was the game that made me think, okay, I need to get an HD TV sooner rather than later, because I couldn't read the bloody on-screen text on my CRT. Lovely. But so I've never been massively into it. I've liked it. As I said, I pushed through. I completed Dead Space 3 when it came out, because that was totally different from like 1 and 2, even though it was closer to 2. It was very much sort of like, first was horror with clunky action, and then it was 2 was sort of horror action, and then 3 which was co-op horror action, which kind of killed the horror element when you've got another person there with you. So also the microtransactions really sunk it as a franchise. It was not well regarded, but I kind of liked it for what it was. And I finished that before, and then late last year I thought, right, I'm going to get through these, screw it. And I think I had some time off work, and I just basically went through and finished them back to back. And I'm glad I did. It's something that was long past due for me doing. I've never been like the hugest Dead Space fan, though, is what I'm trying to say. So for me, the prospect of spending £50 on an upgraded version of Dead Space is a little bit... I'm of two minds. I really am. I use the word ambivalent a lot on this channel, but this is, yes, I am ambivalent about it, because it is the definitive way to play Dead Space. There's no doubt. If you've never played Dead Space, play this one, not the older one. It's that simple. You've got no reason to go back and play the older one. If you already own the older one and you bloody love it, then again, your money is not going to be wasted here, because you're getting what you love but better. So that's all good. It's for people like me who own the previous version, but we're never like that in love with it. For me, it's hard to sell. Although I do appreciate, it's better. There's stuff added, like side quests are in there. It adds more character to Nicole, your ex, I think it was girlfriend. Although I don't know what they've done to her character model. She looks like a 50-year-old Kirsten Dunst, and let's face it, Kirsten Dunst's face was never the appeal of Kirsten Dunst, right? It was always like the wet dress in Spider-Man. Am I wrong, lads? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. So I don't know why they did that. I don't know whether it's part of this sort of movement to make video game females less attractive nowadays, to avert the male gaze or whatever. But, having hunky men is absolutely fine. Hypocrisy. Blah. So I don't know what they did there, but I mean, for the most part, you do get to know her more as a character, because you have side missions where you follow like holographic recordings of her around. So that's good. The weapons are no longer just bought; you actually find them, which is kind of nice, because it's more thematic, I think, rather than just going to a vending machine going, yeah, flamethrower. When it wasn't previously available, and I'm kind of like, well, if I'm just buying it for a vending machine and it's the same vending machine I went to before, why wasn't it there before? That's not how supply and demand works. So finding it along the way does make a lot more sense. The graphics are very good in the remake. I think Callisto Protocol has the edge over that. I think that game is a better looking game. This one does perform, I would say, a little bit better. I do have my problems with that end of it. I will get into that in just a moment. But yeah, it looks great. It does seem to have muted the color palette a little bit. I'm not sure where I like that. Like when you approached the Ishimura in the original, it was like really bright and colourful. Sort of the sun was beaming, and it was a real sort of wow, my eyes are taking in all this colour moment. And it's just been muted down a little bit. I think that's maybe going for a more realistic vibe rather than sort of a fanciful space colour nebula thing. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. It works in like the inside of the station where it's all supposed to look like that. But like for the more sort of cinematic, scenic scenes, they could have like made it pop a little bit more for my liking, more like the original. They have removed the rail shooter for the asteroids. You no longer do that. Instead, you program auto turrets to do it for you. So that's a huge improvement, because that thing was a pain in the ass. I hated that. So yes, my problems with the performance. You may notice there's no metrics on screen. I did buy it on PC during the Steam sale, as I said. So you would expect normally I would have the metrics on screen. Except I had to turn off all of my overlays. And I had to lock it at 60 frames per second. So the overlays wouldn't have done a whole lot of good anyway. Because I'd play it for a few minutes and then I'd get a DirectX crash and it would kick me to desktop. I'm not sure if one of those things fixed it above the others, but it does appear to be behaving now. But as I said, overlays have had to go and I've had to lock it to 60. Whether or not one of those things did the trick and the other one is redundant, I don't know. I really wasn't in the mood to play around with it. I got it running. It is running top whack in terms of graphics. So you can see that I do have DLSS on for quality mode, just to make it a little bit stable. Although, truth be told, I did turn that on when I wasn't locked to 60. So I might still be able to achieve 60 with that off. I don't know. I would have to go back and test again. But yes, Dead Space is... Well, Dead Space is and always has been a fantastic game. And the fact that there's a new version of it that is almost the same game with some bits bolted on. And basically quality of life improvements all over the shop. Even just like tracking, yeah? Because you have this thing where you like ping and it sends out a line for you to follow. In the first game you kind of looked at your feet when you did that and it went off. In this it looks to where the line goes, which is far more helpful. And it's just little bits like that just make the experience nicer overall. Although like most of the beats for the games are there, like early on you go into the tram station, there's a door slamming back and forth, you've got your stasis unit out of it. Pick that up, hit the door with it, it goes slow enough for you to get through. Absolutely one for one the same thing right there. And there's a lot of that. You will, if you've played the game, there are very few surprises in the main plot. They have tweaked the ending, and there is a second ending you can get by completing New Game Plus. So there's that. I won't obviously spoil that here because I haven't played through it twice, so I haven't seen it, but I do know of it because I research as well. Occasionally, I try to like to sound like I know what I'm doing. The sound is nothing but excellent in this. It was good in the original. They've completely, I think they've actually designed a new way of delivering 3D sound, which is problematic because I listen through speakers, not like 3D speakers, so I have left and right. So there's a little bit going on, but it's far from like the all-encapsulation 360 speakers or the headphones that give you like directional sound. No, it's just like it's on my left, it's on my right. But even with that, I can tell the quality of the sound work is excellent. The way stuff echoes around is very atmospheric and engaging, and you know, you have your dead cat being beaten against the wall noise whenever you see one of the necromorphs. In this, it's like you can hear them, hear them burst through the vent and running around. And half the time, it only seems to hit the musical cue when you actually see them. So I kind of like that, in the fact that it's not freaking me out trying to find it. It's more like, here's the horror, there you go. Not just this unknown thing, it's like here in front of your face, which is good. Dead Space always has been, if you're not aware, a game that is chock full of jump scares. The necromorphs do indeed like bursting through various paneling in the wall. After a little while you will be going past every little vent in the wall with a little amount of trepidation, which does add to the game. Certainly the first time you play it anyway, because you don't know if it's going to burst out or not. You can even shoot the panels and they'll still burst out of it later on. The bastards. So there's no real way around it. You just have to like get used to the fact that any wall can explode in your face at any time and a whirling multi-bladed monster might come at your face. Would I recommend it? As I say, for people that love Dead Space, it's better Dead Space, and for people that never tried Dead Space, it's absolutely the version to play. No question in my mind. If I'd played, if I'd gone and like bought the original Dead Space over this one, having not owned either of them, I would be doing myself a disservice, because I believe this is the definitive version of it. It's the best way to play it, and I think it's the better game overall. It's just the similarities that coexist between this and the original, and you know, I don't blame the developers for that. I mean, they're in an incredibly difficult position remaking such a beloved game. I mean, you're going to have people like me who are put off by the fact that it's so similar, because, you know, I wasn't that into Dead Space originally. But then you'll have people that just want Dead Space. They're like, this is my game. I want Dead Space again, but current. And that is exactly what you got. So I think it was probably the correct choice by the developers. I don't think pissing off the core fan base of your product just to satisfy the guy that's tangentially interested in it like I am, is a good business strategy, and is a good business strategy that many other businesses should really learn nowadays, not to piss off your core fan base in an attempt to get those people on the fringes that don't really give a fuck. Anyway, that's the conversation for another time. But yes, Dead Space Remake is a fantastic game. It's the definitive way to play it. I am okay with having spent £35 on it. For me, that's reasonable, just for the graphical upgrade and stuff. If it was 50, I'd be feeling a little bit because it's essentially the same game, and that's great for some people. And I think if I was as attached to Dead Space as some people are, I would be annoyed as well if they changed a lot of things, because hey, it's something you love. No one likes to have something they love changed, right? Unless it's like switching out your missus for, like, I don't know, popular big-titted actress of nowadays. I don't know. Amber Heard used to be my go-to when saying things like that, and obviously that's off the table now. Because damn, you want to wake up in that bed? Hey. Anyway, do a bit off topic, but you know what I mean. So guys, that's my review of Dead Space. I'm going to continue playing. I do want to do a new game run on it. Possibly at higher difficulty. I did restart the game just to capture footage that is also on a lower difficulty, because it's me. I always play on lower difficulties because I'm a pussy. And, you know, challenge is nice. I prefer the power fantasy of video games personally, just being a monster and stuff. Which means I should probably like Assassin's Creed more, but that's another... Well, whatever. Anyway, guys, that's all for this week. Take it easy. I'll catch you next time. Oh, I am working on a collaboration with a friend of mine. It's going to be a little bit different from the videos I normally make. There's going to be a lot more effort and editing to put into it. I am looking forward, and we haven't begun it yet, where it's very much in the sort of testing stage and working out how we're going to do it. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. It's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be probably a series, depending on how the first one does. I don't know if it'll do that well. It kind of depends, because it's a lot of work, and if it gets like 3 people watch it, I don't know. Depends how much I enjoy the process, I suppose. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and as I said, we're hoping it'll be a series. And if that's the case, I can't guarantee when that will come out, because the guy I'm doing it with is ridiculously busy. So I need time where he and I can like work on it together. And also because of the amount of work, I mean, you know, I don't earn a living. I don't earn a penny off of doing this. Because, you know, when your average video gets like 18 views, if I'm lucky, it doesn't feel right to like make people watch ads for the sake of like 0.000001 pence. I'm just like, screw that noise. There's no point. Now, if like, you know, 500,000 people watched it, yeah, I'd be on the monetization all over that. But you know, you might even get like 20 quid out of that one. But yeah, so that's coming up. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it, in fact. It's going to be work. Like, I'm going to have to expand my editing horizons, because it used to be Snare was the editor, and I was the, well, the chump that provided the place to shoot, really. And, yeah, so it's an interesting time, and I am looking forward to getting my hands dirty, so... We'll see how that goes, but for now, take it easy. I'll catch you next time.